Stop
Mine.
it. Stop
Mine.
it. Stop it. Stop
My
it.
turn.
Stop
My
it.
turn.
Ah!
Got it. All right, well, hello and welcome to another episode of Mic.Its the Mic, here with Headmaster Sensei Dyer, and we're here to tackle a question that perhaps we're a little overdue for, but that's good. So Stone Monkey 9 wrote us, thanks so much for your question, what style of martial arts do you do in your studio/dojo? Now, before we get going with this, there's usually a long form and a short form. In some circles, you might call the short form an elevator pitch, and of course, the long form always involves lineages and who taught who, and who learned what, and where did what kind of energies and philosophy are behind it. So, give us the short form first, and then hit us with the long form.
All right, so the short form version is we teach a style of mixed martial arts which combines Kung Fu, Karate, and Jiu-Jitsu.
In that order?
Yeah. So it has all the technical skills, the striking that you would see in karate, the hand and fist techniques, the foot techniques, joint locks, throws, manipulations, holds, takedowns, chokes, as well as things like sensitivity drills that you would see in push hands, and the forms from Kung Fu, specifically the Wudang style Kung Fu. All of that combined into one style. Now this is where people start scratching their heads and going, excuse me, what? And this is kind of why I'm excited about answering this question. So thank you, Stone Monkey, for asking. This has been something that I've kind of gone back and forth on since the very thought of opening my own studio kind of became a reality. Is, oh my gosh, what in the world am I going to sell to people, right? Because that's what it is trying to convince people that they should come try and do whatever art you have. But they have every art under the sun to study under, or you can go down the street and you go to this school, that school, that school, that school. So how am I going to kind of explain to people what it is that I do? And so I guess the long answer, the lineage and all that fun stuff is I teach a unique style of martial art based on all of the things that I've studied. Now, for those of you watching, I started out as a Kempo karate guy. So I did that for a number of years, became head instructor, oversaw a whole bunch of schools locally, and absolutely loved it. When I was doing Kempo karate, I just got in phenomenal shape. I was learning all kinds of cool things about martial arts. But one of the things that kept coming up was, we did a lot of hard, powerful movements, hard strikes, takedowns, all these fun things. But as I would work with different people, study different things, they kept saying, relax into it, be more soft, do this other stuff. And I started scratching my head as, if I'm really focusing on power generation, hitting hard and all this other stuff, why do I, what's all this talk about being more soft? And, through the course of events, I started studying or looking into things like Kung Fu. Just through happenstance, I came across the man who I now study with, Master Bing, who is doing some online lesson or something like this, and I found it, and I ended up going to a seminar, training with him, and I started studying Wudang Kung Fu, specifically Tai Chi, Bagua, and Xingyi, which are considered soft styles. And then while I was studying those, I eventually left the studio that I was training at for Kempo. I started doing Jiu-Jitsu, traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. People always ask about that. What's your Jiu-Jitsu? It's traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, not BJJ, so I want to make that very clear. And then doing that, I ended up in HEMA world. So people out there, shout out to HEMA folks.
And HEMA is?
HEMA, Historic European Martial Arts. So I was teaching rapier and dagger, single stick classes. I started the ringing club at our club. Ringing, which is traditional German folk wrestling. I was doing seminars in bare knuckle boxing, bartitsu. So I've kind of been all over and have studied a whole lot of things. So. And over the course of many, many years, teaching at seminars and whatnot, taking classes here and there under all kinds of different people, it just kind of developed a lot of kind of instinct of what it is that I do as a martial artist. And luckily, and from what I'm told by a lot of people, I'm very good at expressing that to people and teaching people. It's not just, this is how I do it, this is how you should do it. I don't kind of follow along with that philosophy. I don't even care if it's been done for 800 years this way. Does it work for your body? Can you make it work? No. All right, let's work on that. Or is there something else we can do instead, right? I think that the martial art, especially your art, is your art, and it should flow and be lively with you. So I guess the long answer is, or what I've been telling people for the long answer is, so I've been teaching what I call TaiKyoku Kempo. Now, folks out there familiar with Funakoshi and his work, the karate folks out there, well, TaiKyoku, isn't that the very basic form? The term is the central void, or the characters that we use for it is actually Tai Chi, so Tai Chi Chuan. Tai Chi Chuan Fa is the characters I use. TaiKyoku Kempo is the name of the art that I've been kind of working with. And so those two are kind of interchangeable. So someone looking at it from a kung fu lens will say, isn't that karate or jujitsu? And person coming from that, from karate jujitsu looking at it, isn't that kung fu? Yeah, and it's other stuff. So it's a very long, complicated answer. The cool thing about it is, because it is kind of this, and I hate using the term because, as we talked about before, the mixed martial art thing. It is a true traditional mixed martial art. You're learning traditional forms, you're learning traditional movements, you're just learning it in a way that kind of combines them all, which is cool because you're learning forms, which we've talked about, I think, that they're great for conditioning, they're great for cardio, they're great for mental focus. You can use them anywhere. You can hit the air as hard as you want. It doesn't care how hard you hit, so you can really focus on power generation. Forms have just tons of useful things, and we take the pieces from the forms and we use them in application. And then we look at the application as we would in a karate class or a jiu-jitsu class of person's attacking you, how are you going to use this piece of the form? That's what informs us about what our techniques are.
And so where does that curriculum come from? I know that you said you study with Master Bing. Where is Master Bing, and perhaps what did you study with him, and how did you employ your studies with him to generate this curriculum?
Yeah, so Master Bing, Zhongzhu Chao, is a disciple of the Wurang Temple. So he's 15th generation Sengfeng Pai, Sengfeng traditional Tai Chi, Qigong, Xingyi practitioner. He's the founder of the Wurang Dao Cultural Institution. Teaches all over the world, is one of the most foremost practitioners of soft style Tai Chi. And so I've been studying under him for, I don't even remember how long now, very long time. He's actually going to be coming here in just a couple weeks to teach some seminars. But when people ask me, oh, you do Wodang style? Yes, and this is kind of the confusion that ends up around what we teach sometimes is I teach that and more. I don't only teach that, I teach other stuff too. So heavily influenced. All of our techniques are pulled from Wudang forms, but it's not all that we cover.
Okay. And the curriculum is a combination of that? It feels like the curriculum really comes strongly from the Wudang system.
Yeah. So the forms are what generate the curriculum. It's just the way I've arranged things, and it was 100% me. I'm not saying some old master came down from a mountaintop and handed this secret style over to me or whatever. It is the system that we teach was the order of learning came from you and I sitting in a room before this place existed. This should go here, this should go here, this should go here, this form makes sense, this form doesn't make sense. This is the sequence that we should, we just put the things in order and what made the most sense of how they should be taught in a systematic way. And then as we go through class, we started the most basic forms, pull pieces apart, and teach them as techniques.
And that is, I'm assuming that was to make it accessible to your widest possible audience.
Yeah. I think that we haven't worked with everybody in the world, but I would say 90% of the population can come in here and learn our system. I think that because I'm not married to a specific style, or it has to be done X, Y, Z, we can make it work for you, which is extremely important. Like some people, if you can't get to a certain stance, that's it, you're over, right? But we can modify, we can change things because I said so.
And it's still a martial art. It's still martial arts, even if it's adjusted for a certain capacity.
I mean, if you go back in history, this is what all of the old masters did, right? They all, exchanged ideas. They all worked together. They all trained under each other. Even now we have these, we were talking about this earlier, these hard and fast, like, I do karate, I do JuJitsu. What is karate? Karate was originally, I think it was Tang Dynasty hand, right? It was Chinese hand. That's what karate meant. And so people get this hard and fast of, it's this nationality or this nationality. I don't, think that people even, hundreds of years ago when they were first coming up with this stuff cared. Does it work? Yes. Let's use it. How are we going to do it? Let's put it into this sequence so we can remember the things. And it's no different. If you look back through history, I mean, this is what people have always done is for some reason recently when we kind of this is my school, and this is my school, and this is my school, and people kind of get these blinders on what their martial art is. I try to, get rid of the blinders. I tell people this all the time. Like, I have an open door policy for other martial artists that want to come in, explore things is, people get stuck in these blinders. You got to get rid of it. You got to look around and see different things, and you'll start learning more things, right? My Kempo started getting better when I was, introduced to Tai Chi, right? That's when I started getting good, when I was like, oh, how does my body move different? Like, I can't just stand still in a straight line. I got to move around a little bit more. And when I started understanding those principles, things started happening much easier.
So what I'm hearing is more ideas, more people at the till, working together creates better systems.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things I really enjoyed from the HEMA community is we would have study groups. It wasn't, one person saying, I'm the blah, 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 I'm in charge, follow my, we would get together and hey, let's try this, let's try this. And I think I took a lot of that when I opened my studio of, that mentality I really, really respect. I have no problem saying, I don't know, let's play with it, figure it out, right? We've talked about this too. It's how can you tell someone is a master of a craft? They're comfortable saying, I don't know, but we'll figure it out, right? It's not, oh, it has to be done this way, because in 10 years that thinking is going to change. You'll look at it a different way. So saying it has to be done this way, that's naive, right? You want to be able to, have a broader view, think about things, play with things, see what works, see what doesn't work, see how you can change things, If your martial art is always this, it's not going to be lively. It's not going to be something that you can do the rest of your life. So watch out.
Plus, this may not be what's called for in the moment. I mean, it could be the wrong answer and create a great deal more problems than it solves.
Yeah.
So any finishing thoughts?
No. I think our art is great. I think that we have a lot to share with a lot of people, and I want to share it with as many people as possible. I've been hesitant about, claiming my art or whatever, but, I think that we have a lot of really valuable stuff, and there's a lot of really good, useful stuff to pull from. So if you want to try something really unique, I think that we're a place for that.
Absolutely. Come on down, check us out. We're in Northern Virginia, and this has been another episode of Mike Takes the Mic. And when you get a chance, like and subscribe, and also please send us your questions. We love to answer them. Thanks again. Bye.